And welcome back to ETV, entertainment television everywhere in the Treasure Valley. Well, it's a retro weekend at the movies with two films with ties to the 80s. Here's a little bit more from Sean the Movie Guy.
I kind of just want to learn the Cobra thing.
Cobra takes a lifetime. It requires great focus.
But I have great focus. Huh?
Your focus needs more focus.
The Karate Kid was a feel-good hit back in 1984, and while I still love the original film, it does look a little dated. So perhaps a remake isn't totally out of order, especially when the new stars are Jaden Smith and Kung Fu legend Jackie Chan. This new Karate Kid is pretty good, and should satisfy both nostalgic grown-ups and their wide-eyed kids. Don't know why it's 2.5 hours long, but all in all, it's a pretty good throwback treat.
Sucks to be you, homie.
You look like you got a real bad attitude.
And I pity the fool that isn't excited to see The A-Team, a big-budget, big-screen remake of the seminal TV show from the mid-'80s. Where the original show was campy fun, this time out things are played more seriously, with some seriously over-the-top action sequences. This one is obviously a dream come true for a generation of little boys turned into Hollywood actors.
For a kid who's 35, this is like a dream to do this movie.
I love it when a plan comes together.
And that's what's new at the movies this week. I'm Sean McBride, the Movie Guy, for ETV.
Sean the Movie Guy now joins us. Sean, tell us about the Karate Kid.
You know, I'm a big fan of the Karate Kid. In 1984, that was, my youth. I was excited about that. It's funny, I look at Ralph Macchio back then, and I thought he didn't seem like a young kid. The new film with Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, looks so small, so tiny.
It looks like he's like 6 or 8 years old.
It's because I grew up and became an adult. That's probably the problem. Hey, look, you know what? A fun film. I actually quite enjoyed it. It's Jackie Chan, and it's Jaden Smith. So I think you have a better cast. No offense, Mr. Miyagi and Ralph Macchio, but I think it's a better cast. It's certainly got a lot more, action sequences. 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Why are they making a film that's 2.5 hours?
It seems like kind of, an enduring stretch for a family to be.
Exactly, and I don't know if they're making this for the kids or if they're making it for nostalgic mom and dads. But, like I say, apart from the 2.5 hours, I really don't have any issues with this. For those of you who don't know the story, this time the kid moves to China, he's being picked on by bullies, and so he learns to stand up for himself, and he learns the power of self by learning Kung Fu, and Jackie Chan is the teacher. Some cute little references to the first Karate Kid, but all in all, it's just a remake of the film. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh, good deal.
Okay.
Well, perfect. What do we got on DVD?
Some interesting stuff on home DVD. Shutter Island is probably the big one, Leonardo DiCaprio. That's a Scorsese film that a lot of people thought, last summer around this time, we thought this was going to be an Oscar contender, and it was yanked off the schedule and moved to the fall. It's not an Oscar contender, but I think it is still a very good-looking and very interesting film. That's certainly one to check out. John Travolta in From Paris with Love, that will do very well. And then The 40-Year-Old Virgin Who Knocked Up Sarah Marshall and Felt Super Bad About It. Just a silly, silly comedy, but if you want something just to laugh at, dumb humor, check that one out.
Oh, very much so. Okay, and what's going on at the flicks?
Couple new films opening up at the flicks. Looking for Eric is one. The big one is Harry Brown. That's Michael Caine. Sort of a Dirty Harry type movie set in England. He stars as a man who takes the law into his own hands. It got some very high profile previews, and people thought it was going to be really kind of a cult thing. It did not get the traction they'd hoped it would, but it is in Boise at the flicks this week. So let's also mention, and this is a little farther out, but on June 12th we have the I-48 short film competition screenings. All of the entries, I-48 is that you get 48 hours to make a movie. Handmade Nation on June 15th. This is sort of a do-it-yourself movement and stuff, and they got this, they're looking at the community, and you check that out. It's over at the Flicks. $8 for the tickets, or just go to ricoshop.com. Pride Week is coming up next week. We'll talk more about that next week on ETV, but June 16th, Pride Movie Night, 6:30, includes a no-host social hour on the patio. They're going to show the Priscilla, the Queen of the Desert. 7:30, tickets are $8.50. And then June 17th, the Burma VJ, which is an Academy Award-nominated documentary about the Burmese reporters who faced death when they were trying to expose the regime. Tickets are $12 on that. That was on my short list for best documentaries of the year last year. So great film, check them out.
Very good. And what have we got in store for live local theater?
Over in local theater, we have the Bob and Al Show, which is still playing at Stagecoach Theater. I believe that's their last weekend. This is the story about what happens when a playwright's characters come to life start interacting, talking to the playwright. It's kind of a surreal comedy. So go to stagecoachtheater.org to check that one out. Over at Knock 'em Dead Theater, which is fun little dinner theater. Move over Mrs. Markham. This is their final weekend. You can go to kedproductions.org to check that one out. We're a little slow on the theater this week because we have two big ones that are opening up next week. You have next week Into the Woods, which is opening up at Music Theater of Idaho over at the Napa Civic Center. Actually, one of my favorite musicals, so I can't wait to talk to them about that. And then we also have The Wizard of Oz at the Starlight Mountain Theater. And we haven't really talked about Starlight Mountain Theater, so...
Well, next week we'll have to cover that for sure.
There you go. And plus, don't forget, Tony Awards this weekend on CBS, 7 o'clock right here.
Don't miss that. And the Idaho Shakespeare Festival is now up and running. Stick around, because coming up right after this, we'll have a couple of fools to fill us in on the upcoming season as ETV continues.